I have my concealer on. I haven't set, so I'm just going to grab my brush that has a little bit of concealer on it, and I'm just going to make sure that there is no creases before I start my eyeshadow work. It's kind of pink, and I'm just going to start off by placing this colour by stamping it all over the crease. So I'm just placing it first. I'm not going to work on my blending. It's really important when you're doing a half cut crease that you bring your colour right over to your inner corner. So I'm going to bring the colour right on the inner part, because you want there to be colour behind where you're cutting. Okay, so I'm just placing that, and I'm going to pop a little bit on the outer corner also. The colour, and this is going to be my transition. So I'm just going to start to blend out that pink. So just really soft circular motions, so keep your pressure nice and light. You can blend it right up as well. So when it comes to festival, you want your colours to be nice and vibrant. And don't forget about bringing it right into the inner corner. Colours all placed. I'm just taking a clean brush, and I'm just going to blend the edges just to make sure they're not too harsh. I'm going back in with that pink then, with no extra product, and I'm just going to blend it right into that peachy colour. So I'm just taking a dark purple now, and I'm just going to pack this right on the outer corner. So I'm not going anywhere near the crease. I'm just focusing this nice and low, and this is going to be the colour that blends out my black. So just packing that on until you're happy enough with the colour. So you should have a good bit going on, and then you can take your previous colour, which is, for me, is the pink, and I'm just going to blend out the edges. Okay, so it's time to cut. So I'm using a concealer brush. As you can see, it's nice and flat. So this brush is perfect for cutting creases because it's the right shape for you, and it's also the right kind of depth, so it's going to make it really easy to cut. So I'm just popping a little bit of concealer on the lid, and then if you look up, it makes like an imprint, so that's going to help you show how far you're meant to go. So after I've done that, I'm using my brush now. I'm placing it where the marking is, and I'm dragging down. So use the shape of your brush to get that shape. If you feel like you have too much product on your brush, just wipe off with like a tissue. And I'm stamping and then pulling down. And your eye should start to look like this. So that's why we want that colour back there, just to make sure that you have a little bit of colour coming through. Then once you're happy with your shape, you can obviously see that I have a really harsh line at the halfway point with my concealer. You don't want that. You want to get rid of it as much as you can. So I'm taking my brush and just going in the opposite direction. I'm just blending out that line. So the more you blend out that line, the easier it's going to be to place like eyeshadow and glitter and stuff over. So just blend it out as much as you can, wiping off the product obviously off your brush to make it a little bit easier. Don't worry if you go too much across the eye, because you're going to be putting eyeshadow there anyway, but as long as it's nice and blended. So as you can see, I've blended that line, so it's completely gone now. I'm taking the same brush and I'm just patting over the inner part of the cut crease just to make sure that there is no creases, because when you go to put eyeshadow or glitter over it, you don't want it to be creased. So I'm going to go in with pigment now. So this is 119 from Inglot, and I'm just taking it on a fluffy kind of flat brush, and I'm just going to start to pat that glitter on to where the concealer is on the inner part of the eye. Fab. So pat rather than try blend, because you don't want to move the concealer that you've just blended. So just pat it on really lightly. So the concealer will act like a glitter glue, so you don't have to put any other product on the eye. So pat away till the halfway point, and then we're going to blend it with eyeshadow. So because the glitter is acting like my highlight, I'm going to go with my lightest colour first. So I'm just blending right on top of that glitter line. Then I'm going in with that pink, and I'm just kind of going outways now. So blending out that peach, and then I'm going back in with that dark purple, and I'm just bringing that back into the very, very outer corner. So I'm going to go in with some gel liner next on a really flat angled brush, so you want it to be nice and thin. So I flatten my brush down with loads of product, and I'm going to give my eye a little stretch, and I'm just going to draw a line across, so thicker at the outside, like so. And then as you go to the inner corner, you want it to be much thinner. the outer corner, then you want it quite thick because you're going to be blending that out with some black eyeshadow. So just make sure it's nice and level and there isn't any dips. So just take your time. Then I'm going to blend out that outer corner, so I have a little bit of black eyeshadow. And while the gel liner is still kind of tacky, I'm just going to start to blend it out with some black eyeshadow. And that's when it starts to get really smoky. Then I'm going to take some of the purple and I'm going to blend the edges of the black just to bring that colour back in. And just so that it's not too severe. So once you're happy with that, I'm just going to pop some shimmer or pigment in the inner corner. Just to make it extra sparkly. Pop. So I've just added some gel liner to my waterline. And I'm just going to smoke it out with a little bit of black eyeshadow. So small brush because you're doing obviously in a small area. And then I'm going to go in with the rest of the colours as well. Now, so I've just smoked underneath the eye, so all the colours underneath the eye, and I'm going to add some lashes. And they are my lashes, so they're the Emma FX Matte ones. So I'm just adding some bronzer. So I did a little bit more structured and dramatic because we are doing dramatic eyes. So I'm just going to pop on some blush, just have the Bella Pierre one. So I'm just going to pop it on the Cupid's bow. I'm going to pop it on the apples of the cheeks. I love blush. So fab. Just brings that bit of colour back. And I'm just going to work it back into my bronzer. Fab. So I'm going to go in with a kind of blush topper is what you'd call it. So it's like a highlight for your blush. And it's going to make it extra glowy. So just on the apples, high points of the apple of the cheeks. Pop. Then I'm going to go with my regular highlight on the high points. Super, super glowy. So high points of the cheeks, you can do the tip of the nose. Cupid's bow, I always do a little bit above the forehead. I love highlight, as you can tell. Pop. A little tip I always do as well is I always go back in with a little bit of bronzer and I always just go on top of everything just to make sure that it's all blended nicely. So nice circular motions. And then you can go back in with your powder brush just to make sure it's all blended. So I've just added lipstick and lip liner and I'm just going to add some of the Kiko gloss. Love a gloss. And that is the finished look.